Welcome to the It's Cyber Up North podcast, brought to you by CyberNorth. I'm Danielle Phillips, I'm the CEO of CyberNorth, and today I'm delighted to be talking about a new project that we've got called Influence the Influencer. So it's all around how we get more girls and women into cybersecurity and how we work with those who influence them to really educate them around what the sector looks like. So today, I'm joined by two of our key influencers in this sector, Sarah Hibbert from ITPS
Hello.
and Juliet Melia from Mott MacDonald. Nice to see you both.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Great to have you on the couch. So this is a new format for us. Ordinarily, It's Cyber Up North is an audio-only podcast. So this is our first video podcast.
You didn't tell us this bit.
You're here now anyway, so we'll crack on. So as part of our Influence the Influencer campaign, we've worked with women like yourselves who are successful cyber career women across the region. And we've got you doing a number of things. Do you want to tell us what you've been up to the past couple of weeks to support this campaign?
So quite a few things I've been involved in. So we've done some Influence the Influencer panels. So great session earlier on today around talking to careers advisors from schools and colleges and just making them aware around all of the different cyber pathways that are available to students so that they can then go out and talk to their students around what options are available. We've got another event again in a few weeks to do something similar at one of the local universities, and lots of STEM activities as well. So we had a great event a few weeks back with Year 8 and Year 9 schoolgirls from all of the local schools in the area, and just encouraging them to get involved in cyber challenges and try and hopefully spark and ignite a passion for STEM subjects, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And you've been involved in creating some videos as well, haven't you?
Yes, so we have created some case studies, a bit of background around what it is that we do and the different opportunities that are out there in the cyberspace.
And I think it's so important that we can do this from the cyber sector, because we know that women still represent 17% of our workforce. And so we need to be doing more. And what we were hearing this morning from the teachers that we spoke to was just how important it was to be able to see, see women who are doing these jobs. And so you guys acting as role models and really showcasing what you can do in cyber, I think is fantastic. And will certainly help those careers advisors and IT teachers to advocate for these jobs to their young people as well. Mm-hmm. So thank you. Thanks for doing that. So what does it feel like then to be an advocate for cybersecurity? What got you two both into the sector?
So for me personally, I used to work in banking and did that for quite a few years, and just got a little bit bored of it. You know, every day was the same. There was nothing new to get my teeth into. So that's when I decided to look into other alternatives and went back to university, studied cybersecurity and networking. And it's probably been one of the best things I've done. Every day is different now. There's always something new to learn. There's so many opportunities out there. There's so many roles being advertised all of the time. There is a real skills shortage. So, you're never going to be short of new opportunities, really. But for me, I think one of the best things is just the variety of work. And, you can start in one field. I think there's 15 or 16 different cyber career pathways, isn't there? And you don't have to stay in one all of your career either, which I think is really exciting. You can... your career pathway can take you all sorts of different ways, but that's really exciting for me.
Mm-hmm. Juliet, what got you into the sector?
I think I kind of fell into the cyberspace, so I had interest in it. I think back from an academic point of view, if I look back at, say, dissertations at university and things, I had always kind of lent more towards data privacy. It was a real thing that I was interested in, but I worked in kind of product management, digital development in the tech space, and it was a job opportunity that came up at a company I was working at to get involved in the cyber team. So that's for more with governance and risk and technical compliance side. That I think before I'd actually started working in the tech industry hadn't really been open to, so seeing those opportunities and, like you say, just how diverse or how interesting they are and wanting to get involved and fell in that space.
I think you've both had really interesting kind of career pathways into this. Did you have people who influenced you to do what you're doing today?
No, so for me, and that's one of the things that, you know, I've been speaking to you over the last few months, and that spurred me on to start giving back to schemes like this for that very reason. So, you know, when I was younger and going through school and college, cyber wasn't even really a thing, but, you know, I didn't even see any women in sort of engineering type things, really. It was all, you know, traditional, like women's roles, like nurture and care, nurse and that type of thing. That's probably how I ended up going into banking, really, a little bit.
And it's interesting because we're not talking that long ago when you were at
I know,
school, are we?
I'm sounding like it's like in the 1930s or something, and it wasn't that long ago. But, you know, even when I went off to university as a mature student, there was very little representation of women, you know, and there was very few of us on the course. And then there was very few role models out there to sort of aspire to be. So that's really why I'm starting to get involved in things like this now and try and just give back a little bit and show people out there what you can do and what you can achieve.
I think that giving back bit's really important, isn't it? What sort of things are you both doing to kind of encourage the next generation?
So I think where I've worked before, when we set up a Women in Tech network, and that was initially kind of to support the community of women in the organisation I was working at. But one thing we all, and it came through there, something we all wanted to do was to give back and support more young girls coming through. It's a lot of my experiences, the women that I'm working with don't actually come straight through school, through a tech background. We've changed or went into workspaces and had people who help support us move over. And I think it's because we've experienced that, I've experienced that myself, of having that. I've had quite a lot of opportunities where I've been able to move around because I've had people who are being able to support that for me. I think it's really important to do that as well. So just open that visibility of opportunities and trying to encourage young girls just to try new things and see what you like. Try things that you might never even known existed. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I think it is too. And when we look at that figure of 17% of the cyber workforce are female, when we look at leadership, it's only 12%. So that needs to continue all the way through our careers, and to be continuing to act as role models, but also to seek out those role models as well. So I think it's something that we need to continue to do. Just going back to that session that we did this morning with the teachers and careers leads from different schools, colleges, universities from across the region, one thing that really stuck out to me was we as a sector need to do more to educate them around cyber, because as you rightly said, when you went to school, and certainly when I went to school, cyber wasn't the thing. It wasn't something that we talked about. It wasn't something that we learnt about. It wasn't something that was a career opportunity. So is it fair for the sector to be expecting teachers and careers advisors to advocate for this sector that frankly they know very little about? So what do you think we can do to really to open that up and to influence those influencers to support this?
I think you've made a really valid point there. You know, how can they promote roles that they sometimes don't understand themselves? There's a lot of jargon, isn't there? You know, and really it's thinking about how do we do more so that they understand. And I think obviously today's event's been a really good first step, but it's now how do we take that a little bit further? What can we do next? And you know, is there a bit of, you know, inviting them into the workplace and see things for a day? I don't know, I'm just thinking aloud here around how we can get them to understand the types of roles that are available, and, you know, so that they can become advocates for you know, our career pathways and stuff. It's a tough one, isn't it, around how we get them to talk passionately about cyber when we're probably in a similar boat to a lot of people out there.
I think a great piece, and it was mentioned by someone this morning, was even just something small like those case studies where that it doesn't put any real pressure on the likes of us who all have work and we've got obligations throughout the day during school hours. But there's something there, some tools that start showing kind of young girls what our faces are and what we do, and can actually explain that and take that pressure away. But I think we can all do more, whether it's something small like sharing just more information or more events like today, getting out there and sharing more, I think is a real good start.
Yeah, and I think, so those case studies are great, and we'll look to continue to build on that bank of case studies. They'll be available on our influencer portal, which I'm sure we'll put across the bottom of the screen now, influencer.cybernorth.biz. And then, so if anyone wants to do any of those case studies, please come forward and we can add you to those case study videos as well. But then getting it into the schools, I think, is something that we could be doing a lot more of. So we've got the Cyber Ambassador programme that we run as part of the Cyber First programme. You're a Cyber Ambassador,
I am, yes. And I had my first experience of that a few weeks ago, which was fantastic. So it was a proper organised event by yourselves and RTC North and Cyber First, and brought loads of different schools from the area together to compete in some cyber challenges, made it a bit of a healthy competition. There was pizzas, sweets, but more importantly, there was loads of different challenges that the girls got to get hands-on with and have a go, playing with technology, and hopefully ignite a bit of a passion there for going into that. Thinking about STEM really as a career. And what I really liked about that now is now that I've seen it, it doesn't feel as scary. So RTC North and yourselves are quite keen to support us as ambassadors going into the schools now. Whereas a few weeks ago I would have thought, no way, how am I going to talk to 30 school kids?
What do I talk about? Why would they be interested in me? All that sort of thing.
But we can take all of the challenges and the puzzles along with us, which I think is great, because I feel like now I could definitely host an hour with 30 kids and use some of those tools. And I think I could make it quite interactive and engaging and hopefully quite fun for them.
I think those activities are really important from a problem solving point of view, or just building confidence in those skills, because I think you can look and go, there's a certain stereotype, isn't there? No, that's not me and that's what I would enjoy. But actually when you say everything you've just done, you're enjoying it, but you can do it, and you can then invest in a career in that if that's what you would like.
Just touching on that, there was no fear from like if I get a new laptop and I'm like thinking, oh gosh, what button do I press? But these young girls were just like, give us that, I'll have a go, and they were pressing all the buttons, and it was really good seeing them sort of come to life and just wanting to have a turn really and have a go.
I was in the diffusing the bomb.
That was a good session.
Bit. It was a really good session. And so there was one girl who had the bomb in front of her, and then her team had a sort of talk to her about how to defuse the bomb. There was nothing technical about that. That was a communication and teamwork activity. And it really highlighted to them, but more so their teachers, just the sorts of skills that we need in this sector. They don't always have to be hard coding and really understanding the technical side of cyber. And in fact, we talked about it again today, 66% of the roles that we have in the sector are non-technical. So it's that transferable skill. It's about thinking about how you can apply other skills you might have to this sector and really looking for opportunities there. But that was highly competitive.
Yeah, it was
it became like, who can get there quickest? And it was very fraught. So it's great. It's great to see that passion, isn't it? And that's what we want to nurture. So it's fantastic that you're both so involved in really supporting this sector and making sure that we can get the next generation through. So for those who are considering moving into cybersecurity or thinking about studying this at university or taking an apprenticeship in cybersecurity, what kind of advice would you offer them as women?
Just to put yourself out there and to have a go, try a bit of everything, find kind of what you like, and don't, like you say, don't let that fear or kind of, as we touched on as well earlier, the imposter syndrome kind of hold you back at all. Just go for it, because the opportunities there are so many of them, and they're actually really easy accessible, and there's so many people. There's more than just us that want to support people and help people get into the space, because we need more people. We need, like you say, you also mentioned it, we need more people from so many different backgrounds to help us be better at our jobs within our teams and our businesses, to perform better.
Yeah, I would mirror that. Just, if you've got an interest in something, it's important to let that shine through. You might not have, all of the hands-on experience that's exact for that role, but you'll have lots of transferable skills. That's probably how I've done so well, because coming from a banking background, I was always managing teams, so I've got quite a bit of leadership experience. And that sort of got my foot in the door, and then from there I could really, specialise in what I wanted to go into technically. But yeah, don't let that be a barrier. If you look at it, I think there's some stats around this, and I think we've spoke about this before, around if there's a job description out there and a man would say, oh, well, I've done 60% of it, I'm going to pop my hat in the ring and still apply, whereas a woman would go, oh, no, I'm not quite qualified, I'm not going to give that a go. But I think that's probably where we sort of look out a little bit, because we don't just throw our hats in and give it a go. But I think attitude and transferable skills are just as important, because you can be taught, technical skills or things that are really pertinent to the role. Nobody knows that everything really,
But it's difficult to teach somebody how to be motivated and inquisitive and driven, and the sorts of skills that we need, or attributes we need people to have anyway.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add to your first It's Cyber Up North podcast before we close today's session?
Nothing from me.
No, I don't think there is. Just, give it a go. If you want any advice or anything like that, we're both on LinkedIn. Just reach out, and we'll do anything we can to sort of steer you down the right path, really.
I think that's the thing, is that we need to recognise our roles, and not just about doing our jobs, but paving the way for those who are coming of all genders and backgrounds and ethnicities and whatever else. We need to make sure that we've got a pathway into this sector, because like you say, we need more people, we need more diversity in the sector, and we need to fill some of those skills gaps. So well, anyway, it was great having you both here today as part of this, but also as part of our Influence in the Influencer program. And I'm sure you'll be making a huge difference to those teachers and careers advisors who are now supporting young people to move into cyber. So thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
So that's it for our podcast today from It's Cyber Up North. You can find this podcast wherever you find your podcasts, and also on the cybernorth.biz website. Thanks very much.